Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top story tonight is about Volodymyr Zelensky's Kursk gamble. The question is, has it backfired? And who is gaining what, really? And what is the strategy looking like? On Gravitas tonight, we decode this and more and get you the latest from on the ground. And here's a look at what else is lined up for you on the show. Have Israel and Hezbollah got a face saver? We decode the claims and counterclaims. Why has the Telegram founder and CEO been arrested? What's his story? We get to the story of a 102-year-old British skydiver who is winning hearts. All this and more coming up. Has Ukraine's attempt to seize Russian territory in Kursk backfired? Has it left eastern Ukraine exposed to Russian advances? And will the repercussions of this gamble by Zelensky be far-reaching, potentially weakening Ukraine's position in the looming ceasefire negotiations expected in November? These are questions that arise given what's happening on the ground. We also tell you all about the critical question that lies before the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky. But before all of that, we get you the latest on what's happened earlier today and over the last few days. Early Monday morning, Russia launched a massive missile barrage across Ukraine, striking targets in both eastern and western Ukraine, killing at least 3 people and severely straining Ukraine's energy grid. As per reports, Kiev was hit by Russian missiles and drones around 8 a.m. local time, and once again an hour later, similar such reports surfaced from across the country. People could be seen scrambling for cover. Metro stations across Kiev turned into makeshift bomb shelters with hundreds of Ukrainians taking cover there. According to Zelensky, Russia struck Ukraine with more than 100 drones and missiles each.
It was one of the largest strikes, a combined one, more than 100 missiles of various types and about 100 Shaheds. And like most previous Russian strikes, this one is just as dastardly, targeting critical civilian infrastructure in most of our regions from Kharkiv Oblast and Kyiv to Odessa and our western regions. Unfortunately, there are casualties.
This assault followed an overnight drone attack on Kiev and continued missile strikes over the weekend. As per reports, one of Russia's primary objectives was Ukraine's energy infrastructure, aiming to deprive the country of electricity as winter approaches. Emergency power outages were reported across the country, along with significant disruptions to water supplies. 15 regions suffered as a result of the massive Russian attack. That's what the Ukrainian Prime Minister said in a post on Telegram. Energy infrastructure has once again become the target of the Russians. That's what he added. In his address to the country, Zelensky also acknowledged that there was a lot of damage in the energy sector and restoration work was underway. The situation in Kiev and across Ukraine, experts have said, is reminiscent of the early days of the war, with residents scrambling for cover amid the sounds of explosions. But you see, this time the stakes are far higher. The evacuation of Pokrovsk has already started, with reports suggesting that more than 250 refugees arrived in western Ukraine on Friday itself. Here's where Pokrovsk lies on the map. Reports have said that the flow of refugees from the Donbas region is only expected to increase as Russia's advance on Pokrovsk gains momentum. Now, this is a stark contrast to what Ukraine had actually hoped at the start of October. Analysts believe that when Ukrainian commanders launched their cross-border incursion into Russia's Kursk 3 weeks ago, they likely hoped it would distract and also draw some of Russia's most formidable units away from the Eastern Front. And as per experts, the strategy seemed logical on the surface, stretching Russia's forces thin, relieving the mounting pressure on the vulnerable Ukrainian sectors in the east, and maybe even turning the tide of the war. But with the way things have panned out, it is becoming increasingly clear that this gamble has not quite paid off. Reports have said that the Kremlin has not only maintained its presence in the east, but has also bolstered the defense of Kursk with conscripts, sufficient to hold the line in Kursk while seasoned Russian troops continue their advance in eastern Ukraine. And as a result, Ukraine's eastern defenses are crumbling under the weight of sustained Russian pressure, and the strategic city of Pokrovsk is now hanging by a thread. As per reports, Pokrovsk is a major logistics hub used by Ukrainian forces in the eastern region of Donbas. It is located on several of Ukraine's key road networks and also stations a key railway station. Experts have said that, in a sense, the Battle of Kursk and Pokrovsk has turned into a deadly exchange. Russia is willing to risk losing a part of Kursk in exchange for gaining a foothold in eastern Ukraine, it seems, while Ukraine seems to be trading its eastern defenses for a piece of Russian territory. But the question is this trade really worth it? The question offers no simple answers for either side. You see, the city of Pokrovsk is now at the center of a fierce and potentially decisive battle. On Friday, Russian infantry reportedly penetrated a town located just 7 miles from Pokrovsk. The proximity of this fighting to Pokrovsk, a city that sits astride the main Ukrainian supply lines west of Donetsk, indicates just how precarious the situation has now become. And despite reports of heavy Russian losses in the sector, a slow but steady Russian advance is still ongoing. Reports suggest that Pokrovsk is now at a heightened risk of falling. Should the city fall, experts said it could trigger a wider collapse of Ukrainian defenses in the east. As per reports, the reasons for the apparent collapse around Pokrovsk are mixed. Some reports point to a lack of artillery shells in the Ukrainian army, some others to new Russian tactics, including the use of glide bombs and electronic warfare, or the Russian forces simply outnumbering the Ukrainian troops. You see, Pokrovsk is now at the risk of becoming the largest population center to fall to Russian forces since the capture of Bakhmut in May last year. Ukraine may have captured almost 500 square miles of Russian territory, the first invasion of Russian territory since World War II. But this may have just come at a steep price. Has Ukraine's incursion into Russia become a desperate gamble instead of actually being an act of genius? Remember, Zelensky referred to the captured territory in Kursk as a buffer zone and hinted that it could be used as a bargaining chip in future negotiations with Russia. But Moscow appears to be more focused on consolidating its gains in Donbas. Russia, meanwhile, on its part, has distanced itself from any ceasefire talks.
There were no negotiations. As you know, the topic of negotiations at the moment has pretty much lost its relevance.
if the expected ceasefire talks do take place in November, Ukraine's bargaining position appears to be weakening. The loss of Pokrovsk would not only be a significant military defeat, but also a major blow to Ukraine's leverage in any negotiations. Kiev's decision to gamble as far as the Kursk offensive is concerned may have left it with fewer cards to play in the high-stakes game of war and diplomacy that lies ahead. And the coming days, weeks, and months will be crucial in determining whether Ukraine can actually recover from this strategic miscalculation or if it will be forced to negotiate from a position of weakness. In the meantime, the people of Pokrovsk and eastern Ukraine brace themselves for what could be a devastating blow in a war that shows no signs of ending anytime soon. Our correspondent, Anas Malik, who has been on the ground in Kiev, has sent us this report. Take a look.
Well, it's a gamble that the Ukrainian side has indeed taken while they continue to invade the Russian territory of Kursk. There is another invasion that is currently ongoing with regards to its own territory in Pokrovsk, because in case if the city falls, then there would be two issues. One, the fact that the Russian side's grip towards Donbass, towards the complete control of Donbass, would almost be complete. That is number one. And number two, the other problem would be the access to the ports in Mykolaiv that will be hindered largely. So it is indeed a gamble. But Ukrainian experts, the Ukrainian military experts here in Kyiv, they believe that the Ukrainian military will not stop at Kursk, but would rather go for Belgrade and other regions of Russia in case if Ukraine and Russia do not get onto the negotiating table, because Ukraine here sees the invasion of Kursk not as a response to the invasion of Russia into Ukraine, but rather as a balance off with Crimea.
And we now shift our focus to West Asia. Through a series of calculated and low-impact strikes, have Israel and Hezbollah managed to walk back from the brink, appeasing their respective audiences and staving off a disaster? Has an all-out catastrophic war been averted, or will the latest developments result in an escalation of tensions in the region? Let's break this down for you. The tensions between Israel and Hezbollah have been on the rise, with a deadly rocket strike from Lebanon hitting the Israeli town of Majd al-Shams in the Golan Heights. In the Israeli response, one of Hezbollah's top commanders was killed. This was a significant blow to Hezbollah, a group backed by Iran and known for its fierce opposition to Israel. Hezbollah, as expected, vowed to retaliate, leading to fears of a larger regional war. Flights were cancelled. Governments issued urgent warnings for their citizens to leave the region. But yesterday, things took a new turn. On Sunday morning, Hezbollah stated that hundreds of drones and rockets were launched, targeting Israeli military sites in northern Israel and the Golan Heights. Allegedly, the sheer number of these projectiles seemed designed to overwhelm Israel's sophisticated air defense systems, the Iron Dome. But according to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, every single one of Hezbollah's drones was intercepted. In the early hours of that same day, Israel had already taken preemptive action, by the way. Israeli officials announced that they had struck Hezbollah targets to prevent what they described as a much larger attack. In fact, they claimed to have hit numerous rocket launchers in Lebanon, effectively neutralizing a significant part of Hezbollah's offensive capabilities. Hezbollah, however, dismissed these claims, with its leader Hassan Nasrallah calling Israel's actions aggression not preemption. 3 Hezbollah fighters reportedly lost their lives in these strikes, while an Israeli soldier lost his life and 2 others were injured in the attack by Hezbollah. As per experts, the morning cross-border fire marked a notable escalation in hostilities after nearly a year of the simmering tensions. Interestingly, both sides declared victory and stepped back. As per reports, in Israel, security restrictions in the northern region were lifted, signaling a return to a tenuous calm in a way. In Lebanon, Hezbollah announced that its attacks for the day were over. Nasrallah described the retaliation for Shukr's killing as meticulously executed and concluded. So what does all of this mean? What do the claims and counterclaims tell us? Have Israel and Hezbollah found a way to satisfy their need to appear strong and unyielding without pushing each other and the region into a full-blown war? It seems that, at least for now, they have. But while this round of violence may have come to a close, Israel remains on high alert. And there is another threat, of course, looming on the horizon from Iran. Remember, Tehran has vowed revenge for the killing of the Hamas chief, Ismail Haniyeh, in a recent airstrike, an act it squarely blames on Israel. Netanyahu, in fact, has admitted that what happened is not the end. And that's a sentiment echoed by Nasrallah, who described the ongoing conflict as a war of attrition. Each side seems intent on wearing the other down slowly and methodically, rather than risking everything in one grand confrontation, it seems. But as we analyze this latest round of hostilities, there is an unsettling truth that cannot be ignored. Amidst all the strategic posturing and face-saving, apparently, the lives of Israeli hostages in Gaza continuing to hang in the balance. Their plight has been overshadowed by the larger geopolitical escalation in tensions, a heartbreaking afterthought, it seems, in the grand scheme of things. What the future holds for them remains uncertain, a tragic consequence of the broader conflict. As per reports, there is a sense that neither Iran nor its regional allies, including Hezbollah, are eager to escalate the situation further. Hezbollah, which had repeatedly vowed to strike at major Israeli urban centers in response to any attack on Beirut, ultimately, in a way, fell short of that threat. Whether this was due to Israel's preemptive actions or a calculated decision by Hezbollah, the result was a less devastating response than what many had feared. The rockets fired on Sunday were largely confined to the border area, a familiar battleground where Hezbollah has targeted Israeli forces. In the aftermath of Sunday's crossfire, has the risk of a full-blown war receded? The region, meanwhile, remains on edge. Iran's open-ended threat continues to loom large, adding to the sense of unease that has gripped the region for months. And while Israel's tensions with Hezbollah may have eased, and that question still remains, its tensions with Hamas seem to be escalating further. With Israel relentlessly bombarding Gaza, the renewed assault comes as efforts to broker a ceasefire in Cairo failed to yield any agreement, raising the immediate question, what is happening with the truce talks, and do the stakeholders really want a truce? Our next report getting you more.
While the world hopes for a breakthrough in the Cairo ceasefire talks, West Asia has once again erupted into chaos. Israel resumed its relentless assault on Gaza while narrowly avoiding an all-out war with Hezbollah. The besieged Palestinian enclave is once again braving a hail of bombs, trapping its residents in an endless cycle of destruction and despair. Israeli forces are also seen intensifying ground operations, with footage showing soldiers conducting door-to-door searches and engaging Hamas fighters directly. The injured and displaced Gazans were evacuated from hospitals in the war-torn region, underscoring the dire humanitarian crisis.
ضربوا الدار من غير ولا سابق انذار ولا اي تحذير، نزلت الدار دغري، ضربوا الدار من غير ما يحذروا حدا.
ما زال تحت هذا الركام يوجد عدد من الشهداء والأشلاء، ما دام الأشلاء هذول معظمهم من النساء والرجال والشيوخ نائمين في بيوت آمنة تم استهدافهم من طرف الاحتلال الإسرائيلي الطيران الحربي.
The displaced and injured Gazans are being transported out of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital after Israeli evacuation orders for nearby areas in Deir al-Balah. A father forced to hold his injured son with a drip attached to his body, the injured people being told to flee. Everyone here has only one question: where should we go?
We went to Rafah and had to leave. Then we went to Khan Yunis but had to leave. Then we came to Deir and settled down. We came here to settle down and now they want us to leave. Where will we go? We have nowhere to go.
On Sunday, the region came dangerously close to a wider war with Israel, using around 100 jets to pound Hezbollah locations. Israel launched one of the biggest attacks against the Lebanese group. The Iranian-backed fighters responded with fury, firing over 300 rockets and drones. For now, both parties seem to have fallen back, but the tensions remain palpable. Back in Cairo, talks aimed at securing a ceasefire in Gaza have collapsed once again. Hamas rejected the new conditions put forward by Israel, casting serious doubt on the chances of any breakthrough in the ongoing conflict. The hostilities have claimed over 40,000 Palestinian lives so far, according to Gaza's health ministry. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Moving on for now, Pakistan's Balochistan province has been witnessing one of the largest attacks by the militants. Armed militants have killed more than 60 people in coordinated attacks. The Baloch Liberation Army militant group launched a 6-hour-long operation and has claimed they killed 102 Pakistani soldiers. The attacks targeted an army camp and military checkpoints, police stations, railway lines and vehicles on highways. The Pakistan military claimed it lost 14 security personnel and has killed 21 militants. While bus passengers were killed in the overnight attack in Mosakhel in the Bolan district, the militants blew up a railway bridge. The track basically connects the Punjab province and Sindh. In Kalat district, the insurgents also attacked paramilitary officers and policemen. According to the railways official, Mohammad Kashif, rail traffic with Quetta was suspended following the blast on the rail bridge linking the provincial capital to the rest of Pakistan, as well as on a rail link to neighboring Iran. In one of the attacks, dozens of armed militants blocked the Mosakhel highway on Sunday night and marched the passengers out of the vehicles. The militants shot the victims after checking their identity cards. According to the deputy commissioner, at least 10 trucks were set on fire and their drivers killed. The Baloch Liberation Army, or the BLA, has been seeking independence for Balochistan. It is the biggest of the several ethnic rebel factions, claiming that the federal government unfairly takes advantage of Balochistan's abundant natural resources and has been at war with it for decades now. The province is home to key mining projects and is believed to be having the world's largest gold and copper mines. Moreover, China also operates a gold and copper mine in the province. The BLA has shown its muscle by frequently targeting Chinese interests, in particular the strategic port of Gwadar. It has accused Beijing of helping Islamabad exploit the province. It has killed Chinese citizens working in the region and attacked Beijing's consulate in Karachi. The mineral-rich region of almost 15 million people has been unstable for decades due to the conflict, which has also raised security worries regarding Pakistan's intentions to access undeveloped riches hidden beneath the rocky terrain of Balochistan. Our next story is about a man who was once dubbed the Russian Zuckerberg. His name is Pavel Durov. Who is he? Why are we talking about him? Well, the Russian-born tech entrepreneur is the founder and CEO of Telegram. He has reportedly been arrested. What's his story? Why has he been arrested? Let's tell you all that you need to know. Pavel Durov is 39 years old. He has amassed a multi-billion-dollar fortune and now finds himself under arrest in France after being sensationally detained at a Paris airport this weekend. Reports say Durov was targeted in France by a warrant over offences alleged to have been conducted on Telegram, ranging from fraud to drug trafficking, cyberbullying and organised crime, including promoting terrorism and fraud. Reports say the Russian embassy in France has demanded that Pavel Durov should be granted consular access and his rights must be upheld. According to reports, Telegram has reacted to the arrest of its founder and CEO, saying that Durov has nothing to hide and that it is absurd to hold an owner responsible for abuse of the platform, adding that Durov travels frequently in Europe. Telegram asserted that the app abides by EU laws, including the Digital Services Act. The statement added that Telegram's moderation is within industry standards and constantly improving, and that they are awaiting a prompt resolution of the situation. According to Forbes magazine's latest estimate, Durov's fortune is $15.5 billion, but Toncoin, which is the cryptocurrency that he created, has plummeted by more than 15% since the announcement of his arrest. Let's tell you more about him. Pavel Durov's journey started with the creation of WION in 2006, which was Russia's version of Facebook. He is a self-avowed libertarian and has championed confidentiality on the internet and encryption in messaging. Reports say he has locked horns with authorities not just in Russia but around the world. In fact, he has defiantly refused to allow the moderation of messages on Telegram. In case you aren't aware, Telegram basically allows users to post videos, pictures and comments on channels that can be followed by anyone. With close to 1 billion users, Telegram is influential in Russia, Ukraine, and the republics of the former Soviet Union. Its increasing popularity, however, has prompted scrutiny from several countries in Europe, including France, on security and data breach concerns. In fact, the messaging service is used by both the Russian government and the opposition, with some channels boasting several 100,000 subscribers. Telegram also plays a key role in Russia's war against Ukraine, documented by bloggers from both sides who post their analysis and also videos of the fighting. Let's tell you a bit more about the Telegram founder. Durov has claimed to lead a solitary life. He has also not been shy of posting messages on his own Telegram channel. He's always dressed in black. In fact, in July, he boasted about being the biological father of more than 100 children, thanks to his sperm donations in a dozen countries, describing this as a civic duty. Telegram has long been in the sights of European judicial authorities over allegations that it spreads conspiracy theories, shared calls for murder, and hosts drug sales platforms. These have been the allegations. Durov, however, insists that he responds to every request to remove content calling for violence or murder. Meanwhile, a fellow tech mogul, the X and Tesla chief Elon Musk, has reacted to the arrest of the Telegram founder, expressing his disapproval of European authorities, describing it as an attack on free speech. He has demanded justice for Durov. Moving on, this weekend, NASA took a highly sensitive decision, one that would determine the safety and well-being of 2 astronauts who are circling the Earth in an orbiting lab. Yes, we are talking about Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore, better known as the Boeing Starliner crew. They flew to space for an 8-day mission originally, and now they will have to be there for 8 months. Their families will have to wait until February 2025. Here's more in this detailed report.
Veteran astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore set off to space on June 5th this year.
Airborne 1, how you read me?
They were testing the Boeing Starliner, a new spacecraft meant to ferry astronauts to the International Space Station and back. But there's been no shortage of errors and mishaps. Many of the spacecraft's in-space steering thrusters failed. The craft suffered helium leaks. Eventually, after a 26-hour journey, the duo began their stay at the International Space Station. The space station is a football field-sized floating laboratory that circles 400 kilometers above the Earth. Right now, it is home to a handful of astronauts. Almost every 6 months, the space station crew is rotated and a new crew from Earth takes over. The space station is a lab where several new technologies from across domains are tested and validated. Literally, it is the home, office, lab, and recreational space for all its inhabitants.
Very happy, like they had a great ride.
The space station even has a gym, and daily training is mandatory. This weekend, NASA announced that Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore would only return in February 2025. Effectively, their 8-day mission is extended to an 8-month mission. And the Starliner craft that flew them to space won't be bringing them back to Earth. Owing to safety concerns, the duo will fly back on a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft. The Boeing Starliner and SpaceX Crew Dragon are meant to be competitors. Ironically, now Boeing is having to depend on its competitor SpaceX as its own craft is found to be unreliable. So, what is it like to stay for longer than 6 months in space? Did you know that long-term space stays can adversely affect the human body?
So our muscles getting weaker, bones are losing minerals, and even our heart getting weaker and weaker. So for that reason we need to train on board every day for 2 hours to run, like exercises with weights and velo trainers.
Routine astronaut missions last 6 months, but there are cases when their stay gets extended to almost a year. There are several cases of astronauts who have had to extend their stay in space, owing to various reasons. Clearly, Williams and Wilmore aren't the first, and this trip of theirs is unlikely to be the single longest space stay. In the early 1990s, as the Soviet Union collapsed, cosmonaut Sergei Krikalev was aboard the space station as the country that sent him to space no longer existed, and due to the geopolitical complications of the time, Krikalev spent 311 days aboard the Mir space station. This was twice as long as his planned mission. Russian cosmonaut Valery Polyakov also stayed aboard the Mir space station for 427 days in a single trip. Likewise, American astronaut Frank Rubio has spent 371 days in space on a single trip. Earlier this year, Russian cosmonaut Oleg Kononenko created a new record by spending more than 1,000 days in space over multiple trips.
Back to the International Space Station.
With Siddharth MP in Chennai, WION World is One.
To see the bell on the space station side.
Looking to add new weapons and defense tech to North Korea's military arsenal, the country's leader Kim Jong-un presided over the testing of a new exploding drone variant called the suicide drone. Pyongyang's news agency put out pictures of the leader's visit to the Drone Institute of North Korea's Academy of Defense Science. Kim Jong-un reportedly said global trends showed the importance of drones in war and that Pyongyang's military should be equipped with them as early as possible. The new drones are to be used by North Korea's infantry and special operations units. The suicide drones are designed to crash into targets and destroy them. Test photos showed a white drone with X-shaped tails and wings supposedly crashing into and destroying a target resembling South Korea's main K-2 battle tank. They are a contrast to most combat drones that fire missiles at targets. North Korea's testing of the new drones comes in the backdrop of large-scale joint military drills being conducted by the US and South Korea. The annual summertime exercise comes amid heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula. The North has labeled these exercises provocative and designed for aggression. On to the Maldives now. It is spiraling into a financial crisis that threatens not only its regional standing, but the livelihoods of its citizens. Reports indicate that the country's usable dollar reserves have completely run dry. Former Finance Minister Ibrahim Amir has raised an alarm, warning that the Maldives is on the brink of economic collapse. The government's reliance on expected revenues seems to have failed to materialize, and this crisis did not arrive overnight. The government has consistently ignored the warning signs, it seems, making crucial financial decisions based on shaky projections instead of sound fiscal management. The Muizu administration has gambled the country's future on uncertain revenue streams, leaving the Maldives teetering on the edge. Credit rating agencies like Fitch and Moody's are expected to downgrade the country's credit ranking imminently, a move that will further isolate the country financially and diplomatically. The impact of the crisis extends far beyond the corridors of power, by the way. Ordinary Maldivians are now facing the brunt of the government's incompetence, with the Bank of Maldives forced to block dollar transactions and slash credit card limits to just $100. This policy change, later reversed under regulatory pressure, speaks volumes about the chaotic state of affairs there. Consumers are left in a state of panic, unsure about how they will manage essential purchases or pay for overseas expenses. The consequences for the Maldivian international relations being equally dire. As the crisis deepens, the country's credibility on the global stage is eroding. Investors and allies alike are losing faith in the government's ability to steer the ship, which could lead to reduced foreign aid and investment. In a world where the ping of an office WhatsApp message or a call from the boss can shatter the sanctity of a family dinner, Australia has just thrown down a measure. The land down under has introduced a revolutionary right to disconnect law, challenging the 24/7 work culture and reclaiming the boundaries between professional obligations and personal time. So gone are the days of feeling tethered to your smartphone, constantly checking emails or responding to work calls at all hours. The right to disconnect is shaking up the traditional work-life balance, and Australians are excited. This landmark legislation allows employees to ignore work-related messages and calls outside of their scheduled hours without fear of repercussions. It's a direct response to the staggering revelation that Australians were clocking an average of 281 hours of unpaid overtime annually. And that means working an extra month for free. Under the new rule, employers who persistently pester their staff after hours for non-essential matters could face hefty fines of up to $63,000. The Fair Work Commission, Australia's industrial relations referee, will be the ultimate arbiter in determining what constitutes unreasonable contact, considering factors like the employee's position, the urgency of the matter, and also the method of communication. Australia joins the ranks of progressive countries like France, Spain, and Belgium in recognizing the need to erect digital barriers between work and personal life. This move comes as a direct response to the blurring of boundaries worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic, where home offices became the norm and work, in a way, seeped into every corner of personal space. Let's now tell you the story of an incredible feat of bravery and spirit that defies age. A 102-year-old Mehmet Belli just made history by becoming Britain's oldest skydiver, soaring through the skies above Suffolk, located in East England. Her daring jump is not just remarkable because of her age, it's a testament to her spirit, honed over a lifetime that includes service as a World War II veteran and a former member of the Women's Royal Naval Service. As per reports inspired by the story of an 85-year-old man's parachute jump, she set her sights on raising money for a few causes. Her jump broke the previous record held by 101-year-old Verdun Hayes, set in 2017. As per reports, before she prepared for the jump, she confessed that when the plane's door opened, all that crossed her mind was that there is no turning back now. And she is not new as far as adrenaline rushes are concerned. Before turning 100, she reportedly drove around the Silverstone racetrack in a Ferrari at 130 miles per hour. She attributed her adventurous nature to her good health and her determination to make the most of it. Even Prince William, by the way, took notice of her record. As per reports in a letter, he praised her generosity and fearless spirit, even noting her previous high-speed Ferrari experience. She is living proof that age is just a number and that life's greatest adventures can be experienced at any point.
There we go! Good job, how was that?
Oh, that was wonderful.
Well done, congratulations, you've just jumped out of an airplane.
Awesome, should we sit the towel for the moment? Yeah.
If you are a Pakistan cricket fan, Sunday was a day to forget. The country's cricket team hit a new low. This phrase has become quite synonymous with Pakistan cricket of late. But Sunday was truly embarrassing. Bangladesh thrashed Pakistan by 10 wickets in Rawalpindi to register their first ever Test match victory against the Green Shirts. After an embarrassing group stage exit at the T20 World Cup, the two-match Test series against Bangladesh was supposed to be a turning point for Pakistan cricket. The perfect opportunity to arrest their free fall and begin a new era under new head coach Jason Gillespie. Pakistan, without a home test win in over 3 years, faced Bangladesh, a team which had barely hit the nets due to unrest in their country, and one that had never beaten Pakistan in the longest format of the game. However, what it did was expose significant flaws in their strategy and execution. Pakistan made a strong start to the match. Centuries from Saud Shakil and Mohammad Rizwan helped them post 448 for 6 in the first innings. The game started slipping away from them when they came out to bowl. The decision to go with 4 pacers on a sluggish Rawalpindi pitch backfired and also raised serious questions over the selection. A 341 ball, 191 from Mushfiqur Rahim saw the visitors post 565, 116 more than Pakistan. The batters could not bail the team out and posted a 30-run target for Bangladesh to complete a historic victory.
As a bowling unit, where we lost the game was probably with the second new ball. I think that's when we were 200 runs ahead in the game. There were 5 wickets down when Litan and Mushfiqur were playing, and that's where we could have actually imposed ourselves in the game. That's where we've sort of let ourselves down.
The defeat on Sunday extended Pakistan's barren run in Test cricket at home. They have lost 5 and draw 4 tests. The change of guard also did not quite work out for them. Shan Masood has lost all 4 Test matches as captain of the Pakistan team. The match exposed the tensions in the dressing room. Masood was visibly furious with his teammates for their mistakes during the game. He was even seen having an animated exchange with Jill Speed during the first innings. The defeat also sparked outrage among former cricketers. Ex-captain Shahid Afridi voiced his frustration on the microblogging site X. He wrote, and I'm quoting, "A 10-wicket defeat raises serious questions about the decision to prepare this type of pitch. Selecting your fast bowlers and leaving out a specialist spinner clearly shows a lack of awareness about the home conditions." Ramiz Raja, another former captain and PCB chief, also launched a scathing attack. On his YouTube channel, Raja said, and I'm quoting, "Firstly, there was a mistake in team selection. You were without a spinner. Secondly, the reputation on which we rely for our fast bowlers is finished," quote unquote. Meanwhile, Ahmad Shehzad stated that the defeat marked the lowest point of cricket in Pakistan. On that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. But as we say goodbye, we're leaving you with these visuals of Janmashtami being celebrated across India. Thanks for watching.
Namaste. Hello friends. We did Dr. Subhash Chandra show, popularly known as DSC show, for 4 years, from August 2014 to August 2018. 28 states of Bharat. Of course, we reached out to all of you in 190 countries across the world. The show was very successful. Each episode was being watched by almost 25 million people every week. For past 6 years, the demand of the show has never died down. People write to us, people ask for the show to restart again. Hence, we are beginning the show once again on All Z Network, also on WION, which is the global network channel from India. Again, thank you for your love and affection. See you soon at Subhash Chandra Show.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at yoursarthi@such.org.in.
India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I should push myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.